Hey there, Björkman Benediktsson here from Audio Issues, author of Step by Step Mixing. And as always, I'm here to help you confidently finish your mixes so that you can be proud to release your records. Today we're going to talk about acoustic guitar EQ. But before we get to that, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're not on the email list already, please download the Mix Translation Cheat Sheet, which is my 7-step process to help you get all of your mixes sounding great on whatever speaker system you play them through. If you want that, go to mixfinisher.com. All right, so I'm pulling up a pretty old session from my old band, The Long Wait. This is a song called Perfect Pocket, which I actually wrote about my wife back in 2009. But we released this, I think, in 2015 as a part of our debut album, and then we quickly disbanded after that, but that's a story for another day. Perfect Pocket has some driving acoustic guitar, rhythm guitar, and I thought it would be a perfect session to show you how to use EQ to sculpt your acoustic guitar or to find specific frequencies on the acoustic guitar. So let's hear that. This is a double-tracked acoustic guitar with a Mojave. I can't remember what the exact mic was, but it was from Mojave. I think it was a MA200 maybe or something like that. I can't exactly remember the model number. But this is how it sounds, sort of untreated. There is some light compression on it. I took the EQ off here, and it has a little bit of verb on there too, just a plate verb. So this is how that sounds. There's nothing going on in the EQ at the moment. So let's hear that. All right, pretty standard strumming going on there. So let me do something pretty cool and full screen this EQ. I'm going to show you basically the frequency spectrum of the acoustic guitar. So from about 20 hertz, let's take that from about 20 hertz. Let's move this into a bell. So from 20 hertz or so to about, let's see, 80. 80 is right here. That you can find fullness. So 20 to 80 is sort of the deep bass. Often not necessary, especially if you have a bass guitar, so you might just filter all of that out. But this is where sort of the fullness and the deep. So it's worth cutting this area completely. Maybe even up to 100, but let's leave it for now. And but from 50 to 80, so that's sort of this area here. This is about 40. Let's see. This is, yep. So around this area, this is where you would find sort of fullness, 50 to 80. And then from 100 to 250 or so, you'll find boominess from the sound hole. If you recorded the acoustic guitar too close to the sound hole, you'll find a lot of boominess there. So that's sort of from, let's do this. So this is 100, and then this is 250 here. So between these two goalposts, you'll find sort of boominess if you have too much boom from the sound hole. But from about 200, let's move this to 200. From about 200 to about 300, you'll find sort of the body of the sound, often all the way up to 500. And then from 2K, let's go all the way up to here. From 2K to about 5K, you'll find sort of the presence or the ring of the strings. And then in the 800 area here, sort of like there, you'll often find if you have a DI'd guitar, or if it's sounding especially jangly, you can smooth and round out the frequency spectrum there to make it a little more warmer, not as brittle, I guess is a good way to put it. And then from 10 K, and upwards. So this area here, you'll find air. Okay, so I put up some deactivated EQ boosts here. These are not real boosts. These are just to signify the frequency areas. So 50 to 80 is probably fullness, and then 100 to 250 is often boomy, and then but 200 to 300. So we're missing one here. 200 to 300, that's where you might find some body even, and I would say 500 is also a good area to add some hardness to it if you want it to be a little beefier. And then here is where the presence of the strings are, and then often some brilliance from about 8 to 10K and upwards. So let's hear how this sounds when I'm cutting and boosting. So let's start with just listening to the low end here and see what we can roll off. So because in this case, the bass, there's going to be a bass in the song, so you could actually EQ it all the way up to about 100, but let's leave it down here for now just to see how it sounds, just to add some fullness to the sound. That's definitely not necessary in this case, especially because of the bass, but I also just don't like how full that sounds. I can find fullness somewhere else. And then let's see if there's some boominess that we want to take out. A little bit of boominess there, just a minor cut there. All right, and we'll hypothetically taking some boominess away there, and then 200 to 300, maybe let's go up to 500, find some thickness and some body. And you can hear here in the 300, 340 area, it gets kind of honky, and you want to maybe cut that away. And so, as you can see, basically just by doing subtractive EQ, we are hypothetically adding, there's hypothetically these, if you look at the negative space, there is boosts here in about 100 or 70 to 100, and there's boosts here at around 200 because we're taking out this 300 honkiness. So let's see what 500 gives us. So as you can, these are multiples of each other. So this is about 300 and this is about 630. Yeah. So these are this is a harmonic of this. So it's smoothing out even more. So this maybe is kind of a second order harmonic of the boxiness. And again, boosting by subtracting. I don't care whether you only do subtractive EQ or boost as much as you want. It's just happens to be a good way of teaching at the moment. And then let's add some presence, or let's find some brittleness. All right, so that's that, and let's find some presence. There's a resonance somewhere that I'm trying to figure out where to find. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Some resonance going on there, so but let's go move on here. So as you can hear, there's a little extra string sound, a little extra strumminess after you boost in between 2 and 5K. And if you want to add air, you can just add a shelving boost here. Obviously, this is all dependent on the song and what kind of sound you want and what the rest of the tracks are doing. Because if you're giving all of these high mids to the guitar, maybe it's going to get in the way of the vocal. Maybe you're going to have to do some sculpting in order to make everything fit. But in this case, it's basically we've gotten rid of the deep bass. We've added some fullness with subtractive EQ, but you can add more fullness if you wanted, for instance. And then we took some of the boominess away, took some of the honkiness away. We added some body here and some presence. We got rid of this sort of cheapo sound, and then we added some air. So those are sort of the frequency areas you can go hunting for when you're trying to EQ and sculpt your acoustic guitar to fit in the mix. Obviously, these are just starting points, and none of them none of the frequencies are set in stone. You always have to hunt for the right one, and also follow what you hear in your head. Maybe you have a different idea of what sounds good than I do, and all the power to you for that. These are just great guidelines to get started. So that's it for the video today. I hope you found it useful. Once again, I'm Björkman from Audio Issues. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want my 7-step mix translation cheat sheet, please download it at mixfinisher.com. Thanks a lot for watching. And as always, remember to use your ears.